We don't stop and analyze, and more CEOs and top executives, they don't necessarily many times think about this, but 72% of the workforce globally is suffering from burnout. So
Wow.
imagine how that impacts organizations, how that impacts people's lives. Because if you have burnt out employees, that's going to directly impact their productivity, their efficiency, their focus.
Awesome. Well, welcome, Anadel. Thank you so much for joining the Darren Well podcast. I'm so glad to have you today. So, listeners, Anadel is a CEO. She's a founder of Audaciously Authentic. She's a professional certified coach, and she's an international speaker. So we're so excited to have her here today. She has tons of years of experience in the hospitality and the holistic industry. And so I'm excited for her to share more about how leaders can create spaces at work so they can develop mindsets, focus on authenticity, purpose, and well-being. So before we jump into today's top conversation today, Anadel, can you please share more about your why of why you do this work of audaciously authentic, which is kind of like a tongue twister. But yeah, share more about like your background and your why.
It is. And I have to say that every time that we talk about audaciously authentic leadership or audaciously authentic, and you complete the sentence, it's like that tongue twister, but it's also funny and it's memorable. I like it. And it's also AA. My name is Anadel Alberti. So it's like one of those things that goes with the brand. But why? Why talk about this? It's the way that it started was my own journey, my own personal journey in the corporate world. So when I started in the corporate world, I didn't have tools for psychological well-being. Psychological safety wasn't necessarily a big topic that we would mention in the workplace. And I went through a lot through that period of time. It was like a roller coaster of emotions, and it took a toll on me. I was always, since I was a little girl, I was always so excited. I was always the happy one. I was always, trying to help others. And I had to create this persona around myself that if everything was if things were challenging, then I would have to portray myself as being okay. So I was silent. And throughout those corporate years, I was extremely silent with others. Everything supposedly was fine. And everything started to bottle up until I couldn't anymore. So after I had, let's say, I hit rock bottom through that journey, and I started getting to know about yoga and mindset shift and leadership and tools and well-being and all of this that opened my eyes to a whole different universe and a whole different world. And that's when I started saying I lost myself. I had lost myself in the process. So that authentic self was completely lost. I went back to reconnecting with that inner child, that little Anadel that would love to stand in front of people and teach and talk about, anything and everything that she had learned that day, and create shows in front of her family members and whatnot. And when I started reconnecting with that audaciously authentic little girl was when I said, okay, how can I take this out to the world? And that's when I got into health and wellness coaching, and then leadership coaching, and then organizational executive coaching and consulting and mentoring and all of this. So that's the why. The deeper why is literally to take tools, well-being tools and leadership and communication tools to others that may not have it in this moment in time. Just because it's sometimes it's a checklist, like it's a transactional thing. And this is more than a transaction because our well-being is the most important thing in order to be efficient, effective human beings.
Yeah. I love that your passion goes so deeper than just, I'm just trying to make some money, but it's more of like, hey, I've been there, done that, and I've seen what didn't work so well as far as corporate bullying and not creating spaces for people to speak up, to live authentically, to live their purpose. So I love that that's now kind of your life mission. That's powerful. That's powerful. Let's think about burnout. So burnout and turnover, as we think about organizations, as we think about leaders, as we think about how that just shows up in different workspaces. So how is that a problem? And then how can organizations fix it? I know it's a big problem, but where do they start to think about having to fix it? Is it just assessing? Where do they start?
Yeah, well, first, the data that it's not that I love to say it, but I like to bring it up just because we live in this automatic pilot world. We don't stop and analyze, and more CEOs and top executives, they don't necessarily many times think about this, but 72% of the workforce globally is suffering from burnout. So
Wow.
imagine how that impacts organizations, how that impacts people's lives. Because if you have burnt out employees, that's going to directly impact their productivity, their efficiency, their focus. So if we look into where does it come from, is literally sometimes because we are in this world of we need to get things done. And my return on investment is not necessarily in investing in my employees in their psychological safety or emotional well-being or whatnot. It's on the technical or what they call hard skills. So those hard skills are not necessarily translated into ROI when your mental well-being or the mental well-being of your employees and even of yourself, like if you're a high executive, you're not paying attention to it. And then what starts happening? Turnover gets higher, the turnover rate in the companies. The like people start getting sick, so sick days start going up, and people start literally leaders and employees start missing work, and they just leave work.
Mm.
Many times, maybe they're not even connected to the company's purpose or vision anymore. They're so exhausted, they're so tired that cultural well-being or the organizational culture is not even getting ingrained into the employees' lives, and they decide to leave because they choose their well-being. So they
Yeah.
have to start. And again, if we talk about numbers, Rita, $300 billion. That's how much it costs organizations not paying attention to their employees' psychological safety or mental well-being. And that is basically burnout.
That's powerful. Because I think sometimes when leaders are looking at like the numbers, the data, they're looking at, oh, okay, well, how many widgets can we crank out in the system? How many hours can we work on this project? But ignoring the big glaring issue of like burnout and your employees' well-being is 3 billion $3 billion. That's wild. That's wild.
$3 billion. And the thing is that many times it's often seen as an individual problem. It's not seen when in reality it's systemic. The workload, unclear expectations, culture driven burnout as well, and not just personal resilience. Because you can say, Rita, I'm a very resilient leader, or we have a team of very resilient and adaptable leaders, but you're looking at individuals and you're not looking at the system, you're not looking at the community, you're not looking at it as a whole. So when little things start adding up, is when really it takes a toll on the employees and on the teams.
Yeah, yeah. What are some benefits? I guess it could be just the inverse of what we've already talked about. So less burnout, less anxiety. But can you share some of the benefits when you think about employing some different strategies? And I guess then we'll kind of get into what are some strategies, but what are some benefits of like why would they invest in it?
Yeah, well, at the end, it's what we say. It's the opposite. So you will get people that are more committed to their jobs, to their position. They're gonna be more clear. They're gonna have more clarity in their minds. So ideas are gonna flow easier. Team
So more
alignment,
creativity.
creativity. People
Mm,
are gonna be working towards a unified purpose,
yeah.
right? And they're gonna be really living the culture of the company because they want to be there. They choose to be there. If they're burned out, if they're tired, if they're anxious, if they're stressed, their choice is not going to be like, yes, I'm going to go. I'm super happy to be here. They're not. Even though they try to show up because they understand that there's a connection between how they do their job and their efficiency and productivity with their paycheck, because that's a
Yeah.
reality, right? But if you truly want committed teams, you have to really focus on the well-being and the self of each one of their employees. And that is by providing opportunities of growth, providing opportunities of self-reflection, providing opportunities of different, let's say, trainings and whatnot. Those are specific things, but it's opening up the space for them to feel safe, for them to be able to communicate, for them to be able to show up as their audaciously authentic self that they're each one of them are. And they're going to start believing it. So if you give them the tools, imagine if you give them the tools, if you give them the opportunity, if you open the doors for this type of communication and this type of culture within their day to day, because at the end of the day, they spend the most of their days at work, right?
Yeah.
So imagine the results.
Yeah. So the quality of what they bring to the space, increases. No more silent, quiet quitting.
No, and silent, quiet quitting, disengagement,
Mm,
and not at the end. When you work as an individual, your work as an individual can be amazing. But when you work as a team and when you're really there for each other, and when you're bouncing ideas, when you open up the floor for everyone to be present and for everyone to be participating and for everyone to feel that they belong,
yeah.
when human beings truly thrive.
Yeah. And the organization in turn thrives.
Yeah, in return, of course, it relates to each other. Like if this works, then this is gonna work even better.
Mm. So that's the good buy-in. So, actually, before we jump to mindset of why of strategies, let's maybe talk about some of the organizations that you've worked with of how they got it right, or what you noticed that they got mostly right.
Yeah, so it's very interesting when we work with when we've worked with organizations. Many of them at the beginning they say, "No, we're okay." So these organizations say, "We're good. We have things in place. We have trainings in place, and our teams are doing just fine. We're getting the results that we want to get." And when we go even deeper and we start working with them, we don't only do one thing. So we get the employees involved. We try to see what's going on as a whole and then as individuals. And we've seen the change when they start getting involved. Why? Again, human beings want to feel that they belong.
Oh,
So
yeah.
when the organizations give them a voice, give them the opportunity to chip in ideas, to say how they're feeling, where they're at, what's impacting them, what might be impacting their work, then we've seen true transformations. So it's not a transactional thing. That's one thing that our clients always know, that we don't go in and we don't consult and this is what you're going to do. This is when it's to get done. It's not that way, because at the end of the day, we co-create with them, and that co-creation means that stakeholders are involved and that they truly believe that their teams are the best teams that are out there and that they can get better results, and they may have amazing results at the moment. But when we put these strategies in place, when we work with them, when we create these programs or whatever it is that we do with them, it's not our results, it's their results at the
Mm,
end of the day.
yeah, yeah. So, what are some strategies that organizations can take?
They can, honestly, they can go directly to their, if they have a committed team of HR and they have HR capacity, they can go to them and start internally and start asking questions and start doing surveys and start doing focus groups and see what their employees are, where do they stand,
Mm,
where, how do they feel about the culture, how do they feel about the clarity of their position. Because Rita, that's something else that's happening a lot. Organizations are doing shifts and movements within the organization. They're putting leaders in different positions and whatnot, and they don't realize the impact that that may have in the teams and in the leaders. So a strategy is to pay attention If I am, and this is a very specific example, if I am gonna promote within the organization, have a talk with that leader. Is this something that you truly want? Would you feel comfortable moving from maybe this position where you had two people that you were managing to a position that you're going to have 10, 15, or someone who didn't have anyone to lead, but like to manage, and then you move them to a position where they do have to? That takes an emotional toll if they're not ready for it.
Yeah.
Make sure to give them the skills, to provide the skills, because you can learn that. Leadership skills, communications skills, coping with your mental and emotional well-being, and even physical well-being.
Yeah.
So giving the tools, upskilling, reskilling your employees is extremely important nowadays. Those are little strategies that you can use, and not see it as a check mark. Not see it as, we'll do one training on stress management. You know that it takes different sessions, different trainings, different modalities in order for someone or for a team or for a group to integrate what they're learning.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, as you think about what is an audacious leader, as well as an audacious organization, you got to certify them people as so. Like, what would that look like? Who would that person be? Because it sounds like, at minimum, organizations need to be open to hearing what is going on within the organizations, within each team, within the leaders' mindsets. But how would you quantify or qualify? How would you qualify what a audacious leader is, or an audacious organization is? What is that person?
If we talk about the leader per se, an audaciously authentic leader, it's someone who understands that their influence matters and that everything that they do, say, and think impacts themselves and the people around them. That's the most important thing to remember. And then you say, well, how do you do that? How do you know that? How do I know that I'm positively impacting? Because it's a great responsibility if you think about it. If we truly understand that we're beings of influence for others, we can do it in a negative or in a positive way. So being an audaciously authentic leader is understanding that we have that power and understanding that we can do this in a very positive way to leave the world better than how we found it. That's my motto. It's like, how can we leave the world better than how we found it? Even if it's like one life change or one impact here, one impact there. And we go about, okay, so if we're going to focus specifically on the leader, on that audaciously authentic leader or organization, are we living from our passions? Are we truly connected to our passion, to our purpose? Which, by the way, if we talk about that, imagine that 80% of the people worldwide don't live from their purpose or their passions.
Why is that? Why is that, Anadel?
I always ask my question, but when you do the research, it's because many times it comes from when we were kids, and how maybe we had that desire or that joy of doing something, but then somebody at some point in our lives made us believe that that wasn't good enough, or that we weren't going to make it if we were to pursue that passion or our purpose. So we underestimate, and we forget about that. And then we go with the flow and we adapt, adjust, and society, somebody that influences us, and we start losing ourselves. And at the end, we grow up to be just a result of our environment and our beliefs. And we know that in order to shift our beliefs, we need to do some work. It's not hard work, but we need to put ourselves out there. And we have a choice as human beings, which is something that I always say, it's one of the best gifts that we have. And even organizations have that. We have choices. So we can make amazing choices, and we can not make amazing choices. So imagine having someone who truly lives from their passions, who goes every day, wakes up every day, feeling that they are adding something to people's lives, showing up like that to work. It's just a different we're talking about a different thing here, is the results are going to show, and we're going to be able to influence from another space. So this organization or these leaders are leading from a place of purpose and passion. And in terms of the organization, that leader is going to connect even more to the purpose of the organization, right? Living with gratitude, and not gratitude just because, not saying just thank you, is truly ingraining ourselves in the fact that we are here breathing now, we're in the here and now. And when we're more grateful, we're more empathetic leaders. We are more present. We have more insightful information and conversations, and we show up for others from a place of gratitude. So imagine being a top executive or being a leader and showing up from a grateful place. That is going to transfer that energy, and that space is going to open up your space for others to come in and show up in that same way. So model first. You have to be, if you choose to be an audaciously authentic leader, you're showing up and you're modeling that leadership, that type of leadership. And then from there, so we have passion, we have gratitude, we come with, okay, how do I influence others? What can I do in order to positively impact people's lives? How am I showing up? Am I showing up for myself? Am I truly taking care of myself? Am I showing up for my team? Am I showing up for my company? And if I am, in what way? How am I impacting others? And then the last but not least is legacy. So am I doing things just to do them? Am I building something for people to remember me when I'm not in this world anymore, in this physical space anymore? Or am I truly building something while I'm still alive that others can enjoy and that others can feel impacted by it? So that right there is what, as a whole, is what's going to make you an audaciously authentic leader, and in turn is going to make you an audaciously authentic organization.
Wow, that's cool. So purpose, passion, leading with gratitude, being empathetic, having influence, realizing the influence that you have, noticing the impact that you have, living with a space of legacy. Like, what else are you trying to pass on? Instead of, I think sometimes when I think of some leaders, they just hoard all the information and expect everybody just to do as I say, but don't encourage them to think authentically, don't encourage them to use their voice or share their thoughts. And so it's just a different way of being when I think about an organization. Wow.
You know that I met with, just last year, I met with one of the most influential leaders in Dominican Republic. I'm Dominican, I live in the States, but I met with this person and we were going to meet for something about business. And I really thought we were going to talk about ROIs, market strategies, the teams, team building and whatnot. And at the end, what he shared with me was something that threw me off. And I'm like, it didn't throw me off in a bad way. It was like, this is legacy. He's leaving a legacy. So he talked about community. He talked about family. He talked about well-being. He talked about presence. So he's extremely influential. He has multiple businesses and he shows up every single day. So he shows up for his team, he shows up for his family, he shows up for his community, he focuses on social impact. So that's one of the things that we also focus on in terms of legacy. So to be an audaciously authentic leader is also you choosing to impact your community. Because, okay, I'm influencing my family, I'm impacting my teams, my organization, but how does that translate as well in the community?
Yeah. The ability to give back.
And involving the entire organization. So we worked with a company. It was in the healthcare space, and we talked about their social impact strategies, and we bring in also some organizations, nonprofit that we support, and we try to explain what we do with them. And they were like, okay, yes, we want to support the next event. I'm like, no, it's not about supporting the next event. We want your employees to also be involved in this, because what happens many times in organizations is that they do it for tax purposes,
A
really,
write-off.
a write-off, and the employees don't even know what their company is supporting. So one of the things that we try to do is to get them involved so that they know about these things, these organizations, these people that out there that need, these communities that need support. Because at the end of the day, being of service to others is going to make you a more well-rounded and healthier human being.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I love the social impact. That's powerful. Yeah, because it kind of takes like the organizational's values and kind of extend it to how do they show up in their personal lives. And so not just professional, but also like, and also it makes me think of just like fully like balance. You know what I mean? Like when I think of holistic well-being, I think of like well-being at work, well-being in your spirit, your mind, your body, in your relationships. Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
And that part of service, and I want you to go back, and whoever's listening, to think when they've been, or when you've been, when I've been in challenging situations, what's one thing that we could do to help us get out of that situation, or we're in dark times, or we're just going with our minds are just about to explode. We have so many things, and that one thing can be serving others.
Hmm.
Because
That's
when
a good.
we serve others, we're connecting with a other human being, or with an entire community, and our ego, ourselves, are put to the side, and we are just one with the other person.
Wow. Wow. I like that. So as we start to wrap up, so I guess that could be the big takeaway from today's episode, among all the other many nuggets that you gave. But I didn't know if you had any other takeaways or words of wisdom as we start to wrap up today.
It's to just think of yourself and how you're showing up in this world.
Yeah.
That's one question, is how am I showing up, not only for others, but for myself.
Ooh. So you can bring the best to all these spaces. That's powerful. I love that, Anadel. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anadel, for just stopping by the Daring Well podcast and just sharing your heart, sharing some great ways that we can live audaciously authentic. And in our personal lives and our professional lives, I love it. So please share more about like how people can connect with you, how leaders can connect with you, how organizations can connect with you, what services, products, like please share more about all those beautiful things of how people can connect with you.
Well, thank you so much, Rita, for having me today in your podcast. I really enjoy it. I enjoyed today, and I enjoy your podcast. I already told you about that. So it's an honor to be here sharing this information and this insights with you. And in terms of connecting with us, I'm, like you mentioned, I'm the CEO and founder of Audaciously Authentic, and we are a for-profit organization who works with serving building momentum and results for small and mid-sized companies. And we do team alignment, consulting, coaching, mentoring through different programs and processes. And you can contact us at www.au2movement.com. And then in social media, you can look me up on LinkedIn and Instagram as Anadel, A-N-A-D as in David, E-L, Alberti, Alberti. I say it and I spell it because I know it might be sometimes difficult to understand, but that's how you can contact me and our organization.
Awesome. Awesome. Sweet. Well, thank you for sharing that contact information. Again, so grateful to have you today. And I hope everyone walks away with feeling just words of like empowerment. I think ways to just truly live well. And I think sometimes we overcomplicate it. So I love the way you made it very simple that everybody can walk away with like, yeah, I can do that today. I can do that today, some small way. So awesome. Well, thank you so much. Daring Well listeners, keep living, keep loving, and keep daring well. All right, take care, guys. God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.